Hey, we're back. We're back yet again, and without hype, without saying too much, I am joined today. We're back lunchtime, and today I am joined by one of the goats here at Putti. Yeah, right, John?
Thank you.
One of the goats. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce everybody to John Halverson. Even the name, John Halverson Jones, right? Like, that's made to be a goat.
Thanks, Tony.
Okay, so John, by way of title, the only senior product consultant, one of our senior product consultants.
Am I one of, or am I the only?
See, I'm not even sure.
Yeah.
Title-wise, I think the only.
The only.
Functionally, I think one of the many. One of two.
Yeah, probably.
One of two. Yeah. John, thanks for joining me. Thanks for joining. Like.
I never know which way round you're gonna do it.
So let's do a handshake.
Yeah.
And a, what do the kids call that?
I don't know.
Like a dab? A dap?
And a fist bump.
And a fist bump. There you go. My guy. Anyway, John, tell us very quickly what it is that you do at Putti.
Lots of different things.
Right.
But the part that is the most sort of customer facing, well, I'm a senior product consultant. What does that mean? I guess people come to us with their own thoughts and plans around a product they need, whether it's a startup product or for kind of like use in their company to improve a process or create some market advantage. And they have very different levels of that. Maybe just a broad conceptual overview, sometimes some sketches, sometimes some requirements. It's about going from there to a fully fledged product design and the kind of consulting process through that. So all the fun stuff, dealing with the new ideas and helping people through that process is really interesting.
Surely doesn't sound like an easy task, but we'll get into that after this question. Like, how, tell us a little bit about your history and how you got around to being like amazing. And I'm not hyping this, by the way. I've seen him work. He knows what he's doing. He's great at it. And that's important because the team that will be receiving, should I say, plan or approach or strategy, if that is messy and unclear, that's a big problem. But tell us a little bit about your history there and how you got around to doing this.
Yeah, well, I started writing my own games on early computers when I was about 12 years old. So
Damn.
And then I studied computing at university, and then I did all kinds of actually quite varied jobs. I've typically been a bridge, the sort of person between people and tech. So I have spent time hands-on as a developer, but mostly I have been in some form of management or comms. And then I started my own software development agency, which I ran for 16 and a half years, which was famously acquired by Putti.
Ah, you say famously. What is that, like a 10 million exit or something?
I wish, yeah.
So all that experience, I mean, that's more than a decade of dealing with tech.
I don't want to say how long it is, it might show my age.
Right.
Yeah.
That's on me. I shouldn't age my interviewees out here in this podcast.
Yeah, you could say it's around quarter of a century somewhere.
Okay. So this thing that you do as a senior product consultant, what are the main outcomes of it that the receiving team of people will use?
Right, well, I mean, I am supported by designers because I don't do the actual graphic design, but it is about getting to clarity of what will this product really be? What will be on each screen? What will people actually click on? How will it work? What notification will get sent out? So it's about defining that clarity to the point that when the project team come along, they can just build it. Because if you try and change things as you go in code, that's really, really expensive. If you're changing things at the Figma and requirements level, that's the place to do your kind of agile iterations and feedback loops. So yeah, that's what they get out of it. But I think also it's about challenging people's thinking a lot of the time. Because
You mean the business owner or the team?
Yeah, the business owner or whoever the key people are from the business who are coming to us, because they might come to us and say, we needed this and this is, and sometimes they're absolutely right about what they need. Other times it's great to go, well, have you thought about the fact you could do this a completely different way? Because that's what you want to bring to the table after being involved in designing lots of software products over a long period of time.
I've been on the seat of being an entrepreneur as well, and you have this wild idea, a stroke of genius one morning, and you're like, just because it makes sense to you, the business owner, doesn't mean it's going to make sense to the coder, all right? And to a coder, the logical approach to it is this, but that may not make sense to the business owner as well. Which
that's the bridge.
That's the bridge, right? Because
Yeah.
that's what I see. That's what I see. I mean, it's almost like translating a high-level idea or concept, if you may, into actionable plans that actually build that idea into existence.
Yeah, so an awful lot of it is about really good listening, because you've got to really listen to people to understand their business, their needs, how it works, the concept they have. The other part of it is about knowing what can be done, or what is natural to do, or what is even a sort of established pattern that people will intuitively understand when they come across it in a new app or piece of software. So it is about bringing those together.
I 100% agree, and I think you are at the intersection of that really nicely, given that you've also been on the seat of the entrepreneur, where you understand tech, you understand business, and bringing that together allows you to generate a map, if you will, an architecture, if you will, or a blueprint, if you will, that you can hand over to the design team, the dev team, right?
What it does mean is I do think like a business owner. So when I'm having a conversation with people, I can't help myself but go wider into, product market fit, market validation. That's for a startup, and what is your marketing plan? Just to validate that their whole plan, their bigger plan, is actually lined up for success.
Have you seen like an idea that's really just why are you even thinking about this? Have you ever seen one?
Lots.
Okay, so imagine I have this crazy idea, and you just look at it as crap. How are you gonna tell me?
I will just ask you the right questions so that you can discover that for yourself.
Oh, that's gotta be tough. Okay, and that's fine. That's fine if it's like a totally fresh idea and I haven't spent any money yet, right? And you're technically doing me a favor here by
definitely,
right?
Definitely.
But
I might be bursting your bubble as well.
you might be bursting my bubble, but that's fine. I'd appreciate that down the road. Now imagine this: here at Putti, we get a lot of these things, but what we get a lot of as well are half-built projects. Half-built.
Yeah.
I mean, call it what you will, midstream, partway, and for whatever reason, they come knocking on our door, right? And they go, help me, John, the goat in Putti, help me.
They're half-built, they're 80% built, or they're fully built, but they don't work properly and they're not getting any more support, or having problems with their vendor happens constantly. What do you think, Tommy? Is it about 50% of our new projects?
They're about, probably maybe more.
It's a lot, eh?
If we're just looking at count,
Yeah.
more. But if size, then maybe not more than 50%. But by count, there's a lot.
It's scary actually how many there are.
Okay,
and I think it might only be increasing with the whole world of vibe coding and things, because people think they can take really shortcut approaches that are going to produce production-ready SaaS system or app, and they're just not production-ready.
Look, I would say you being part of the team is a massive gift in the sense that when these things come, you know how to approach them. And we'll get to that in just a second. But like in your recollection, like maybe in the past 2 years, or maybe even just last year, we've gotten a lot of these. What are the common ones that come to us? What is their situation?
They are all different, but I think that what we see as a bit of a pattern is that people will go to market, talk to a number of vendors. Look, there's other good vendors out there too, but unfortunately, people tend to be tempted by price. So they'll hit someone who only takes a sort of a lightweight understanding of their requirements and thinks, oh yeah, I can do that for this amount, and maybe I'll use a bit of AI as well to speed it up, and I can deliver that for X amount, and I'll promise that. People goes, that all sounds great, it's way cheaper than what these other agencies were suggesting, and then they go away and do it, and then time after time, when they take those lowball offers, they end up in trouble with the vendor. Like the vendor, what happens on the vendor's side is they've kind of overpromised. As they get deeper into a project, they realize that each of these requirements goes kind of deeper than they think. And then they just get kind of bogged down in the project, and then they stop wanting to deliver and start resisting to the client, and maybe they're part finished, maybe not. At that point, it all starts to come unstuck because they haven't done the work to really understand the project and to estimate realistically what it would take to produce a high quality, production-ready, scalable, secure system in the first place. At that point, quite often the people coming back to us talk to us the first time around, and we were one of the not super expensive, but a bit more expensive sort of options. And then they're like, oh, we should have gone with you. And they, which is nice and validating for us, but actually it's a big problem because at that point they've often spent most of their budget. And we're having to sort of then work with them, okay, what have you actually got? How can we take it through to completion? Sometimes we can, and sometimes we can't. Sometimes it's so bad, we can't even do anything with it. The better cases, we go, okay, these are all the remedial things it needs, and we can make a plan and we can step through it and solve their problem.
I would say they come to us and they get a little bit of sticker shock. They're like, I didn't realize it was going to be that much. But truly, I say, like, we're expensive, but it's cost effective in the long run. We're expensive, but we're cost effective. How do I say this? Right? Because of this process.
Can I pick up on the thought? I know what you're saying.
Right.
And one thing I would say is like, okay, so people come to you and say something like, oh, I want an Uber-like thing, but for this purpose, right? And then you work through it all and you say, look, that looks like being about a 150K project. And they're like, whoa, 150K, that's a lot of money to build that. And you go, how much do you think it costs them to build Uber? Oh, maybe 100 million? So, you've just got to remember that actually software startups that we see out there that are successful, most of them will have spent a lot of money on development. I think in New Zealand, we're good at delivering amazing value for money, actually, but it's not like 20 grand. It's not even like 30 grand. It's normally more like 70, 80, 100, 150 for app type projects and bespoke software or higher, depending what it is.
I also say it's cost effective in the long run because of this arduous process that we do in the beginning, which you're heavily involved in, or effectively you actually drive it. It prevents waste, or it prevents that very situation where you didn't consider a thing, but it is an imperative, really important thing for this software to have. You didn't consider it at the beginning and you just said, yeah. Like it's high level, I can do it for this. And then you find out in the middle of the project, and now you actually can't go back to the client and say, I need an extra 50 grand on this. I know I quoted you 8K, but I actually need an extra 50 grand. They're like, what? I mean, not to say that has never happened to us, but I would say, because that's the nature of the beast. You will uncover certain things, especially if it's a project that you didn't start. If you do not have enough experience, you wouldn't probably know how to navigate around that in terms of tech, in terms of execution, and in terms of working with a client about that change, you know?
Yeah, there's so many things you've touched on there. Look, if there's big unknowns in a project, obviously you want to start dealing with those right at the start of a project and do just a proof of concept, like we don't actually know how long this will take or whether it's even possible. Let's just do that bit first.
Yeah.
But yeah, people get themselves in trouble by not having enough depth of requirements, and that comes around to bite them. But another interesting thing about software is you get this thing where I've seen pieces of software that work absolutely fine and perfectly on the surface, and maybe the users even love the software, maybe the UX is even really good, but then they're going like, we're just struggling to get changes made to this and they're costing so much, we don't understand why, and you come along and underneath it's like terrible.
Slowly dying at the...
You could never really, the ongoing maintenance and development is close to impossible because it's so poorly written under the hood. So it's a really strange thing. You can't actually tell from the outside. You could have a software that looked terrible and was really beautifully built in the code, and vice versa, and everything in between. So obviously what you want is quality all the way through.
And that's us.
Customer experience. It is us. You know,
lifting my chair a little bit, but
that's the good thing about having, a really experienced designer in the Putti team, having a really experienced CTO heading up the technical team that just drives quality through everything, is that everything is good, and that it has to be.
Yeah, and that whole section of business analysis that you do and translation to like actionable, executable work is, to me, priceless, because it protects the team from that scenario. It protects the client from additional cost or drag or delay even, and overall it makes the project flow. But going back to the projects that we kind of end up rescuing, right? Which we fondly kind of call like project rescue internally. When they come, they have this little sticker shock at the beginning. And at that stage, they're actually scared, right? They're afraid to get into like an engagement with anyone, not just us, right? With everyone in general. And then they go through this terrible experience because they decide to do something more affordable, cheaper, or something.
You're saying this is how they end up in this situation, is that at the beginning when they're looking to get their project built?
At the beginning, and so
they're sticker shock.
They're a bit afraid already, and then they get the sticker shock, and then they go through this experience where the project starts to fail, and then they come back to us. They're probably even more scared now, just with the whole experience in general. And not only are they scared, but they're also, some of them are at a point of desperation too, because they've already spent a lot of money. They don't have a lot of budget, but they've already bitten down on this, and they really need to get this off the ground, especially if they're like funded, or it's their own kind of
I've seen people come in quite beaten down.
It's an understatement, right?
And even situations where it's like, well, I had to sell my house to fund this, and it's not.
That's real.
Working.
That's real.
That's real. I mean, so.
And then okay. So it's quite different in terms of a totally fresh project versus receiving something like this, because
it's really hard taking on these project rescues.
Right.
I mean, we've done a lot of it, but a lot of developers won't even do it, because picking up someone else's code and understanding that code when it's maybe written differently to how you would write it, you've got to be flexible to deal with a number of different sort of technology approaches and tech. And sometimes also another thing that happens is you might be taking over like a legacy project. This isn't quite the same kind of failure, but maybe they've been working with someone for 10, 15. I had a situation where we took something over because the guy retired. They'd been working with a developer for 15 years, he then retired. And although the software was only 15 years old since it started being built, his practices were 10 years out of date when he started, so it was like 25 years out of date.
Wow.
All these things you've got to deal with, actually very challenging for developers. Developers prefer to just build things fresh, using their best practice approach and the right modern tech,
Okay, without giving too much away then, what's Putti's approach in general? Say I'm the client coming in with this situation. I don't know, man. Like this is gonna drag on, but like maybe the top 3 things that we would do, or we would look at, or we would say, or we would even ask.
Show us the code. Because, so first of all, we do a code review. But even the beginning of the code review, these days we do use AI tools to help.
Yeah.
So we can feed it through GitHub Copilot and actually get a really good kind of very, very technical report. Like if you put in front of the end client, it'd be a bit overwhelming because it's multi-page and going into incredible amount of detail.
Yeah.
But rather than having to like read all the code, this enables us to just go, I see it's got this, it takes this approach, so forth. And then we will actually look at samples of the code as well. And if people want us to go further, like a proper code review is actually going really deep into the project. The point of it is though, we have to know what people have got. Like before we come up with a plan, because the plan will look completely different depending on what they've got. It's like, oh, actually, they may not have finished this, but they built it really well. We can just continue. Or it might be, we got to remediate these things and continue. Worst case scenario, especially with a lot of very old legacy projects, it might be like, we can kind of just manage to keep the lights on here, and you got all these users using it and like it. There's ways that you can start replacing it incrementally using microservices. We'll just start breaking bits of it off into microservices that are modern and just start shrinking this bit and growing that bit.
See, that whole thing that you just described there needs a roadmap, needs a North Star, else it's a precarious little thing there.
Yes, you need to have a clear strategy of where you're going with it.
If I were, say, a junior coder, I wouldn't want to get into that. I do not want to get into that. That's a totally different set of skills.
This is where our senior architects, are really coming to their own, is coming up with these pathways.
Because all of these things, a confluence of different things within modules, and so there are a lot of dependencies and interdependencies and all these things that you have to consider before you actually start working on something, or else you break the thing and there's like 3,000 users actively using it and you're like, So show us the code though. Show us the code's number 1. What's number 2 then?
We'll come back with a plan and likely costings and get a decision, and then we'll just start executing on that plan. But quite often what has to happen though is we have to take over the code base, the database, the project, maybe management of the infrastructure as well from an existing developer. Okay. So there's often a handover process. Now, what you really hope is that the existing developer handles it in quite a friendly, professional way, which definitely happens probably at least 70% of the time. But sometimes they may get really resistant and shirty and
you get territorial, like a little, a little chihuahua. This is my yard. Step off my yard, friend.
I've mostly found I've been able to work really cooperatively with people. Often in that situation, they just kind of want to get out anyway.
You have an aura about you that's just really approachable.
Agreeable? That's good. Try to be.
No, but you see this thing that you mentioned, this little handover process. Mm-hmm. It's tricky, and there's a lot of. We have a checklist. Again, the ideal scenario is, hey, Mr. Client. And whoever third-party provider is, here's the checklist of what we need. And the next day we have it, packaged up in a folder, handed over in a link.
Sure.
We open it up, we have everything we need, we're off to the races. But that's not what happens. That's not what happens. It's definitely not what happens.
Why is it not what happens?
No, I don't know. Because I need to contact the developer, he's got the code, he's somewhere else in the world with a different time zone, the design is over here, the documentation, I have to rifle through it. There's, and if you don't have someone guiding you in this, which is what we do, because it's just developed over time, we keep dealing with this thing. If we don't handhold this process, a lot of it is just gonna go wrong.
Oh, sure, there's always hand-holding from start to finish, but in terms of accessing the code, it's been made heaps easier by these advent of people using repos. Because normally it's just like, well, give us a read-only user on the repo. That's all we need. And documentation is nice. If they have it.
Code review, handover process, and then the build out of a plan.
Yeah.
All of which have to be done with the right lens, the right view, and the right consideration. You have to be able to zoom in, zoom out, and make sure that it's kind of airtight. You need AI or you need John. We have a John. So I'm proud of that. Are you proud of that?
Yeah.
You mentioned AI though. You mentioned AI.
Yeah.
There's a lot to unpack within that. First, this AI bit is kind of the catalyst for you leading the process of writing the collective thoughts of the team and basically making it make sense in a white paper manifesto type thing. Tell us about that.
Oh, you just asked me to tell us about how I used it?
No, no. Why do the manifesto? What was your push?
Actually, it was Bruce who wanted to do a manifesto.
Bruce.
Yeah.
Your name has been dropped, Bruce. Just so you know.
Yeah. No. But I think the value of a manifesto is that over time, a company develops a culture. And I think within Putti, there was a really strong sense that we had a great culture, both in terms of sort of technical practice and the sort of people side of it. But there's a certain point in where it's nice to stop and go, what is that? Like, we all come and maybe know it's in the air, but let's actually write it down and really grab the things that are good and make sure that we're all actually focused on them, because as new people come in, that means we can help explain to them what our culture is, we can stay focused on ourselves, make sure we don't drift away from things that are really good, and it becomes also something that helps clarify our story, externally as well.
Yeah, it's interesting too, because it became, what's our story? But really it started out with, what is our take on AI?
Yeah, what is our take on, that's part of our manifesto, just because it's so relevant right now, is what is our view of AI? Yeah. And that's multifaceted and complex, really. I think we've broken it down into some simple statements, but...
No, I'm going to put you on the spot a little bit here, but I want to tease out that little manifesto that we're... It's not little, by the way. The manifesto that we're going to put out. What do you remember in terms of, and it doesn't have to be verbatim, what do you remember about what our general stance is with AI? Because I'd love to unpack that a little bit as well. Just one or two things.
Our general stance is we're super fascinated by AI. We are developers, so we like to stay on the forefront of things and explore what they can do. But we're really against the flimsy use of it when it comes to development. And look, I know you've been running vibe code workshops for people, Tommy, but vibe coding is definitely in the spotlight when I say that. The vibe coding is great if you want to just sort of create some sort of quick prototype, validate an idea, see what it might look like. It's not going to produce something that's a really good quality piece of software. And this is the thing that we need people to be really clear on. There is a different approach to using AI that is professional best practice for developers. So for developers, it's about feeding a lot of very structured information into an AI, asking them to do very specific pieces of work, and then code reviewing what comes back as if it came from a junior developer before you put it into your project. Now, that approach is probably increasing productivity in software development by most people finding around 30%. Like Microsoft is saying 30%, and I would say that kind of matches Putti's experience. But it's not vibe coding, it's not just putting in a bunch of prompts, getting this piece of software, and you don't know what's under the bonnet, which is often quite flimsy, by the way, especially on the back end. And then the other problem with vibe coding is often you'll get it, and then it's trying to refine it with prompts. It just all falls apart.
And so I vibe coded a tool, a chat tool. I want a chat tool that I can speak into, and then it basically sends you
the... You can probably do that, right? Because it knows pretty well what a chat tool is.
And I wanted a chat tool that would transcribe whatever I was saying on audio, but it would send you both things.
Okay.
Right. Because I'm driving all the time. You're driving all the time.
Yeah.
And like sometimes it's just easier to just go, hey John, I'll see you later, And so I vibe coded that, and it delivered like maybe 4-6 screens to me. And I'm like, all right, cool.
Yeah.
And then the next thing I asked it to do is, can you give me a checklist if I wanted to deploy this properly? What do I need to do?
Right.
I'm intending to submit this to to the Apple Store, give me a checklist. It gives me a list of 10 things with maybe 3 to 5 sub things for each of those. And I'm like, I am not gonna do this. This needs a professional developer to actually know. You think these little things, I mean.
Look, if you were wanting to build a real tool, vibe coding something up like that and then being able to bring it to us and say, look at this thing I've built, it does this.
Yeah.
I need it to do these other things and I need it to be properly robust and secure and scalable and deployed to horizontally scalable infrastructure or whatever. That is actually quite a good way, when you think about it, of explaining to us what you need. That might be better than coming to us with a written one-page brief.
I mean, it says there, integrate this with an LLM, get this kind of subscription. Integrate Twilio, I'm like, oh, bro, come on. Either that or deploy it through Lovable or whatever the platform is. Because you could deploy it, right? But like to really actually build it out right, you know, it takes more than vibe coding on a platform. It does save 20-30% of the productive amount of I guess effort, I would say, but the time to actually do it right, because it just transfers to quality and checking and testing and making sure that everything is sound, and a lot of argument would come out of that too. But I'm saying that's the stance, right? That's the stance.
And look, when it comes to internal things for a company, vibe coding might be okay for sort of like a quick little tool, but what we see here is that anything internal really is part of a bigger ecosystem and needs to be deeply integrated and embedded, and still needs to be secure and robust. So I personally see it as only for prototyping, even internally.
We have covered a whole slew of things here, man. This is one of the episodes that is like super chunky with all of these really substantial things. Do some rapid fire, man. Some rapid fire. Right. Yes?
Yeah.
Are you ready for the rapid fire, John?
Ready?
All right, we'll start you off with something easy. Coffee or tea?
Coffee.
Ooh, pizza or sushi?
Sushi.
Cat person, dog person?
Cat person, but I like dogs. I just don't want to own one.
Oh, cardio or weights?
What?
Cardio or weights?
Weights.
On-time arrival or on-time exit?
Definitely on-time arrival.
All right,
where's this leading, Tommy?
this is
a personality test.
He's an INTJ
something like that. I think I'm an ENFP.
Okay, why you would know that? I've tested, Anyway, this is John, and it's been amazing. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Tommy.
Look, this may not be the last time you'd hear of John or from John. It was a great episode, and thank you for watching up to this point. You're still here. That's amazing. Because like every time I have a chat with John, I feel like I get overwhelmed with the information. A lot. I learn a lot. And so we have decided to do another one where we talk about more AI things, and we'll see you on that episode. Cool? Peace in the streets. See ya.